Hey there, YouTube Nation. Knife Guy Rick here with another knife review. Today we are looking at the Paramilitary 2 by Spyderco. So this is a knife that's been out for a long time, at least it feels that way. And it's a knife that I know is extremely popular. It's actually one of the knives that has probably some of the most numbers of counterfeit knives out there are knockoffs for these, so you definitely got to be careful and make sure you're buying them through reputable dealers. This particular knife, this was my first Spyderco that I had purchased, and I actually got it on Amazon. And I for a while I had found out that there were a lot of counterfeit Spyderco 2s out there that you need to be careful of, and I was sort of nervous about this, whether or not it was genuine Spyderco or not, and I was able to actually verify that it was. So I'll go through some of the things to verify if yours is counterfeit or not counterfeit. Also, you'll notice I have a different clip on this. So this is an aftermarket Lynch Northwest clip, deep carry pocket clip, so I can do tip-up carry. So I'll talk a little bit about that as well. But let's take a look at the box first. So it comes in a normal Spyderco box. Again, this was kind of smashed because I got through Amazon and they had it in one of those, you know, not a box, but like a just sort of like a package, lightweight package. So it kind of had been flattened, like they had put other stuff on top of it. So you can see it. You know, when I got it, I was a little bit nervous about it. You know, it was missing the sticker. This thing was kind of, you know, bent up. And that was what sort of led me to believe, you know, that I was a little bit concerned, right? So, again, I think, you know, when I went through the box, this is an actual original box, and you can look and, you know, you look at the spider there and, you know, kind of check all the little details of it. Again, making sure those instructions are all in English. You know, this is from Golden, Colorado, USA. You know, here it is right here, made in the USA, Paramilitary 2. So this is what the box should look like. You know, and then I actually, I got this is that Lynch Northwest. And they, you know, it comes in a nice box from Spokane Valley, Washington, you know, made here in America, Lynch Northwest, pretty nice. And, you know, it comes in a little pouch, not pouch, but this is just an envelope. And then these are actually the original screws. They had black screws in here I chose to use. And then you have a sticker right here, and a little hand note from Lynch Northwest. So super cool company. They make a lot of really cool pocket clips. They're all titanium pocket clips made in the USA. You know, it just comes in a normal, you know, it's a nice box. Designed in the USA for everyday hard use, made in the USA. Guaranteed for life. Gotta love it. So here's the knife again. So when I got the knife again, you know, that box was a little smashed, so I was a little bit nervous. And it was a little bit sticky. With these Spydercos, there's kind of you know, you can roll flick it. This is the compression lock back here. So it has a lot of it has a different style. I feel like it feels more like a traditional knife, if you will. Instead of having a liner lock here in the front, it's sort of here in the back, and it's called a compression lock. So I don't think it's very similar to like a back lock back here. It's just essentially if the liner lock had been moved to the back here, and it's just called a compression lock, and you can see it, you know, it's right there, and you press that, and then that rolls in and rolls out. So before I get into too many of the specifics of the finishing of the knife, we'll talk a little bit about the, I'll turn this so you can see the clip, a little bit about the overall length. So the handle length is 4.81 inches. The actual blade length is 3.44. Again, this is made in Colorado. Colorado does have certain laws, like in Denver and different places like that, where you cannot carry a knife, or you can't conceal carry a knife, like a pocket knife, with a blade 3.5 inches or longer. So there's a lot of blades out there that are coming in right under 3.5 inches to, accommodate that, those types of laws. I think you'll find that a lot of standard knives, the standard size seems to be, right under, 3.5 inches, so this is kind of what I consider to be a full-size knife. The overall length of it is 8.25 inches. The blade material is CPM S45VN. So I think when these first came out, they were S30V, and then they went S35V, and then they went S45V. So it's definitely a nice steel. I think when I was looking on, Knife Works and Blade HQ and Blade Ops, this knife was going for, in this form, I think was like 165. And if you wanted the blacked out version that was coated with a coated blade and all the hardware was coated, that was like 175. And I found this on Amazon and it seemed like a good deal. I think it was, 155. And then when I saw the packaging, I kind of got a little nervous, right? About, oh man, is this a counterfeit? Apparently people will sell, genuine knives and then return it with a return policy and then put like a made in China fake one. So we'll go over kind of the aspects of this knife and talk a little bit about how you would tell whether or not it's a counterfeit. The first thing is you would look at the blade. You have this, these markings here and here, as well as the golden Colorado USA Earth. This is a clip point flat ground with a satin finish. It's really a pretty knife. What I like about it is it actually cleans up really well. I've done a lot of cutting with this and it seems to not get scratched too much, or it hides the scratches. It's pretty nice. And then that's the Spyderco CPM S45VN, and then the Spyder. And one of the things inside the Spyder, I don't know if you can see that, there's a little mouth. So like looking at how detailed that Spyder is one way that, that's something that typically the manufacturing will kind of mess up a little bit for the counterfeits. So you take a good close look at that Spyder and make sure it has kind of that opening in it. The other thing is the finishing inside the Spyder hole, making sure it's machined and clean and looks good, as well as the jipping right here in the back. A lot of times there'll be a weird gap between the jipping right here on this inset. So that's one way to tell. All of the hardware, should be the correct size. I don't remember off the top of my head what size these are, but they're the normal, the normal ones. They're all inset. None of them are popped out. And then if you look inside of it, you'll see the cutouts to make it a little bit lighter. So it has, the full steel right there, liners, but they're cutouts. They have 2 cutouts on this side, plus that little notch there. And then on this side, there's a single one in the back because it's not cut out there because that's where the compression lock is. So that's one thing to check. Also, making sure that the lanyard hole is nicely finished. It has a little bit of a chafer there, the way it comes down. And then last but not least, I guess one of the things is that this needs to be rounded really nicely. The compression lock right here is rounded. And the little clip right here, that is supposed to be nicely rounded right there, which it is. So when you add up all those things, it's hard for them to get everything right on the counterfeits. So that's one of the things that, of how you would tell. I don't know if mine had been returned and that was it. I haven't added any oil to this, but it was sticky when I got it and it's definitely loosened up quite a bit. You can see I'm doing the Spyder flick. It's been a good knife. These are the G10 handles right here with a nice texture on them. So it's pretty good there. I think let's go ahead and do a little bit of comparisons. I'm gonna put this here. So just to give you an idea, Here is a Hogue Doug Ritter, which I would consider to be a full-size knife, which is the same size as a, full-size Griptilian. I still need to do reviews on these two knives, and I might even do a comparison review. But I thought this was the most accurate kind of size-wise that you'd be looking at. So I consider all these to be full-size knives, pretty much. Anything larger than this, you're almost at the point where you want to just carry a fixed blade, probably. But there you go. If you wanted to see kind of the sizing, and then also, just because some of you may have a PM3, here's the PM3 side by side with it. And again, this isn't the 3-inch blade. This is the sub 3-inch blade. So it's 2.92 or 2.93 inches long blade. So I really liked how this had a deep carry pocket clip, and I wanted to do it on my PM2, and that's why I got that the Lynch Northwest pocket clip. To show you, if you're not familiar, this is the pocket clip that you get with your PM2. So the way the PM2 does it, or the way Spyderco does it with the PM2, is you get a tip down carry, and with this, about that much of your knife is sticking out of your pocket. Also, you notice you have all that kind of shiny metal, sticking out there. So I just found that, one, this pocket clip was really shiny, and whenever I wore this knife, everyone commented on it because they saw how shiny the pocket clip was, and they could see kind of the shininess here. And I just don't like to be flashy with my knives. I like to have my knife on me and have it in my pocket, and people know, hey, that's a knife, whatever. But people that aren't used to knives, when they see this big chrome thing, and they're like, oh, what's that? It's just a lot more noticeable. In fact, one of the other channels I watched, there was a guy talking about, having his PM2 at work, and his line manager or whatever would always see the chrome clip and give him a hard time about having a knife at work. And when he had, the dark clip, even when it wore off and had a little bit of shininess underneath, it whatever was blacked out enough to where, he didn't have to hear anything from his manager at work complaining about him having a knife. So that's why, one, it's not a deep carry, you'll see there's this top up here not even using. And also I wanted it to be, because even when I moved this down here, it still had a lot sticking out. So I think the reasoning behind this with Spyderco is kind of that, hey, how do we make everybody happy? And so a lot of people say, hey, I want the clip to be prioritized, and sometimes people want, I guess this lanyard hold to be prioritized. And so what they did is they said, okay, we're going to do tip down carry, and if you want to use a lanyard hole, it's right here prioritized for tip up, or if you want to put it in your pocket, you just do tip down, and there's the snug kind of thing, clip. So I think if I would have gotten the blacked out version of this, I probably wouldn't have gotten a custom clip. But I want to say 90% of all my knives are tip up carry. And so I was like, I want a black clip, and I want a deep carry, and I want tip up. So that's why I got this. And it's worked really well. It hides in the jeans. You barely see it. You can see a little bit of that, sticking out of my pocket, but you can't even tell. when I do that. What's nice is you'll notice it's got the 3 holes there, so you could do tip down carry on both right and left, and tip up carry on both right and left, which is actually really nice. And then the spider hole is on both sides. So this is kind of considered to be both a righty and a lefty. The only thing you'll notice is this cutout is only here on this side. So if you're right-handed, it feels very natural because you can grab it with your index finger. If you're left-handed, it's kind of hard to do it with one hand because you have to do it with your thumb. It's hard to do with that finger. So that's the only thing that I'd say is it's not completely lefty because of the way the compression lock works. Because really, you can open it and shut it with the compression lock once it's been kind of broken in a little bit. So again, doing it on this side is, yeah, it's not really happening. So you can see, like, just opening and closing it, the fingerprints get all over it. But it's a nice knife, you know. I do really enjoy it. You know, I'd say I don't find this to be extremely heavy. The weight of the knife is 3.75 ounces. Typically anything, you know, the average knife we'll say is 4 ounces. If it's over 4 ounces, it's considered heavy. If it's under 4 ounces, it's considered somewhat light, I guess. I guess the biggest complaint I've heard people make about this knife is they say, oh, it feels like a brick in your pocket, and you know, all those things. It's just too big. I honestly don't notice it in my jeans at all. I feel like it's super light, especially with this deep carry pocket clip. It just hides in there, and I don't even notice that it's there, that it's even in my pocket. I do think that this is a very functional knife. When I first saw this, I thought, wow, that's a really cool looking knife. And to me, I felt like it looked really tactical. You know, it was something I imagined like a Navy SEAL having on his like parachute jump pack or something, in case he had to, you know, cut out of his lines or something like that, you know. But it really has a lot of utility. One of the things that I guess Spyderco says is, hey, you know, we design our knives in the dark. Not that they're ugly, but that they're supposed to be extremely, you know, ergonomic. And, you know, you got a really nice ergonomic handle, you know, the way that it bows, you know, and fits in the hand. You can see, you know, kind of the cutout and the shape here. You have a place to, you know, the choil and everything to kind of get up on it if you need to do some closer cuts. Also back here, I mean, almost any way, you know, you hold this knife, it, you know, it fits the hand really well. And this whole thing, this is a super wedge. I mean, the way it comes down, the way it slices, I mean, it blows my mind away how easy it is to cut things with this. I've cut a lot of boxes with this, and I mean, it's nice. It works really well. It's sharp. It holds a blade. I mean, this is the original blade on it, or the original edge on the blade. I haven't sharpened it. I haven't had to. I'm gonna, but, you know, I was gonna wait until it gets a little dull first. But it's been great all the way around. You know, I don't find that it's too big. I think it's just right, especially with this clip. It fits in really nice. The clip itself is, like I said, it's titanium. This is the black Cherokee color, made in Washington, lifetime guarantee. The total length of this is 2.125, and you'll notice it actually is the same. It's just you're taking this top part off. So the same amount that holds it is that, and that's the same length. And so it works really well. There aren't any flat spots on here that this lands on, so you don't really have to worry about that. I think some of the other Spydercos, you have to get longer ones so it lands on a soft spot. This one, the G10 handles are textured all the way around. Regarding the G10 handles and the texture on these, when I first got it, it felt like sandpaper. It felt really just almost irritating. And as I've carried it and used it, it's really softened up. It feels like almost silky. And even the edges were always knocked down, but they feel more contoured after just using it. It just feels really like the perfect amount of grip and texture, but not, you know, too much. So if you bought this and you're like, oh, wow, that's really way rougher than I was expecting, it does soften up, surprisingly so. And I think too, if it gets wet, it feels kind of like, you know, like Magna Carta handles where, you know, when they get wet, they're a little tacky. This kind of feels somewhat similar. So I don't know. I mean, it's made of really good materials, and for the type of materials this is made with, I mean, if you're looking at a Benchmade or you're looking at a lot of competitors that are really in that $200 range, and this knife is, you know, I mean, you're basically looking at 165, 175 if you get the blacked out version. I will say, if you really like, you know, deep carry pocket clips, you can actually buy the knife on Lynch Northwest's website. So they have the Spyderco, and these typically will match whatever the blade is. So if you got this blade, you'd probably get a satin finished clip. I wanted the black one, so you'd probably have to buy the blacked out version. But honestly, the price between the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 on the Lynch Northwest website was $6 more than the same price of it on Blade HQ. So if you really do like these clips, I think it's worth it to maybe just go ahead and buy the knife with the clip already on it from Lynch Northwest. Everybody says great things about the company. This is my first product from them, and I bought this myself. It's, you know, they didn't give it to me or anything like that. I heard about them and saw it and thought it was cool and heard good things and put it on, and it's nice. So I would consider buying a knife from them if it came with the right hardware that I wanted, and they have some pretty cool ones on there. So I guess that's what I would say. You know, I think the only complaint people have about the knife is either it looks really different from all the other knives they're used to, or it looks too tactical maybe. But honestly, it feels great. I don't think it's too big. It disappears in my jeans. I don't really have anything bad to say about the knife. I think the pocket clip was maybe the only bad thing I had to say, and I solved it with this. But I will say, if I had gotten the fully blacked out one, because everything, all the hardware is blacked out, even on the inside, and the clip would have been blacked out, I might have just left it that way. I wanted it to be the satin finish just because I really wanted to have a nice, smooth operation here with opening and shutting. And I have found that sometimes coated blades with coated hardware on the inside are a little sticky. Sometimes they're not as smooth as, you know, as the satin finish. And you can see I'm flicking with both, you know, the middle finger, the index finger. I can hold, you know, it works pretty well. So definitely, it's definitely a knife I think that's worth having. And what I really like about this knife is I'm not scared to use it. I feel like I can take this knife and use it to do whatever I need to do. And where there's other knives that are more expensive, or maybe just I'm scared I'm gonna hurt it, you know. And this knife, I'm not gonna hurt this knife. This knife is gonna, you know, take a beating and work all day and be perfectly fine. So, you know, is this the right knife for you? I would say if you are okay with this size of a knife, I think it's definitely worth having. It's definitely worth having, especially if you're actually going to use this for work. I think it's a great knife as a utility knife, working in a shop or working, you know, in a factory. You know, it gets the job done. So anyway, that is my review here on the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you like the, you know, the cool customization here. And, you know, always like and subscribe, and, you know, be doing some more videos coming out soon. So anyway, as always, stay sharp out there.